Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
One of my kids saw a documentary about a particular kind of bug when he was a little kid, and he became convinced that he had this bug inside him. He was so worried about it all the time. I'm Julie Lyles Carr, and this is God on the Go, where we help you make the minutes matter. We've been talking about trusting God. My son was convinced there was something going on with him, and he was so worried about it, he would think about it all the time. If you'd ask him how he was doing, he would talk about how he was so scared about this particular kind of bug, and it just went on and on and on. It had him so freaked out. And finally, I took him to a friend of mine, a doctor, who sat down with him, listened to him about the things that he was scared about, and who was able to tell him, hey, you don't need to be worried about this. You don't have this kind of bug inside you. You are just fine. And my son, he decided, you know what? I trust this doctor, and I'm still kind of scared, but I trust him, and I think I'm going to be okay. We've been in a series about trusting God. We talked about trusting God when things are confusing. We talked about trusting God when people don't understand why you're making the choices and decisions that you are. And today, I want to talk about trusting God when you're scared. Now, what are the three top things that you think people are afraid of? The very top three things. Do you know what they are? It's being afraid of speaking in public, doing public speaking, being afraid of heights, and being afraid of spiders. Those are the top three. Now, I'm not scared of those three. Maybe you are, maybe you're scared of one of them, maybe two of them. Those three things aren't the things that I'm scared of, but boy, do I have some other things that really freak me out that I can get really scared about. And it's so powerful in times where I'm feeling nervous or upset or scared to remember that I can trust God. Isaiah 41:13 says, "For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, 'Do not fear, I will help you.'" Because we trust God, when we're afraid, God is right there with us to help us. Sometimes that doesn't mean He's going to take away the thing we're scared of. It may mean that He's just right there with us and we really lean into Him. Sometimes He does take away the things that we're scared of. But no matter what, God is there for us, and we can trust that. Even as a grown-up, even as a mom with kids, there are still times that if I walk into a really dark room, it scares me. Sometimes I can still be scared of the dark. There are things that you may find that sort of freak you out all of your days. Moms and dads still have plenty of things that scare them. Even when you grow up, there's still going to be some things that every now and then you're going to get scared. And that's why it's so important now and as you grow up to remember that you can trust God when you're scared. You can turn to Him. There's a story in the Bible about some guys who go on a long journey because God has told them He's going to give them some land. Now, two of the guys who are with this group are named Joshua and Caleb. And when they arrive at this place where they're going to peek over into this land and see what's going on there, when they're spying on this land that God has said that He's going to give them, most of the guys get scared. And they were scared for good reason. There were people in that land who were giants. There were people who had all kinds of fighting ability. There were some amazing things that they could see in that land that were exciting because there were huge amounts of fruit and grapes and all kinds of great things like that. But there were also things to be scared of, and they really were things to be scared of. But as we look at this group of guys, only two of them said, hey, we're going to trust God. The other guys got too scared to trust God. And because of that, they never got to go into that land that God had promised them. The first two guys, Joshua and Caleb, the ones who saw the things that were scary but said, we're going to trust God, they ultimately did get to go into that land. It's not always easy to trust God when you feel scared. And it's okay to feel scared. God created us. He knows and understands why we can get scared by things. But what He tells us is we don't have to just stay in that place of being scared. We can trust Him. We can trust Him when we are afraid. We can say, God, I'm afraid. Please be with me. Please help me. And God will. Text the word GO, that's G-O, to 89419, and we'll send you some things so that you can keep this conversation going about trusting God even when you're scared. Also, be sure to check out georgefox.edu. That's George Fox University, and they're our sponsor for the show. They help bring this to you every week. George Fox University is committed to walking alongside your college student for all the things that make them, to help and support them in their educational journey, and to also be with them in their spiritual journey. So be sure and check them out. And I'll see you next time on God on the Go.